Hello, Mr. Harvey. Mr. Hardy, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing great. And how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm Andrew Gonzalez, the CEO of the Art Gallery with Coffee. I'm glad
Mr.
you could come in this afternoon.
Mr. Gonzalez, it's a pleasure speaking with you. And I'm doing great.
Good to hear. All right, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, get a little feel for you. Just real laid back and casual. So first off, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my name is, as you know, Carl Hardy. I've been in customer service over 20 years in multiple fields such as food service, insurance, long distance satellite TV. I've developed a unique philosophy. Success in business depends on the customer, and everyone is a customer, whether it's your boss, your client, or the general public. I'm passionate about delivering the best customer service possible, and my professional goal is to become an important asset in the growth of an art cafe, art gallery, and coffee shop. I kind of coined the phrase art cafe. I like the ring of it.
Yeah, I do too. I like that philosophy. I'm going to be writing a couple things down. So if I look down, don't worry. Okay. Okay. So you had an interest in art and coffee. I was going to say, what prompted you to apply for this job, and what interests you most about this position?
That's a great question. I started off years ago with a bachelor's in business. I'm sorry, bachelor's in mathematics. And in the process of getting on that, I took a lot of different courses. And years later, I went back to school and wanted to do something totally different than the math. And so I started taking some art courses, and I really enjoyed it. And I started looking at what I wanted to do with myself. And, you know, as I said in I think my cover letter to you, I love art, I love coffee, and I thought, you know what, there's a business that uniquely situated for myself, and given the experience that I've had with customer service, food service, and all kinds of areas, I thought, this is a great opportunity. I see they're looking for someone. I would love to be able to hop in there and help out and see what I could do to bring success.
Awesome. Sounds good. Tell me a little bit about your short-term and long-term goals.
Well, short term, I'm working on my MBA. I figure once I get a master's in business administration, focus on business administration, it'll probably help me see more about the business side of it than what I've had. Long term, I would like to, like I said, with the art cafe, just kind of go out to, be involved with, be an integral part of it. That's what I'd like to do long term. It's the type of thing that you can do and not ever have to retire.
Yeah, definitely. All right. What are the three most important attributes or skills you would bring to our company if we hired you?
Well, I am very much a people person. I love interacting with the public, and I have a bit of knowledge when it comes to art. I myself am an artist as well. And, so the main thing would be my people skills. I do have a pretty analytical mind, and I've got a great deal of experience in problem solving, whether it's with the employees or the customers or the vendors, all the way around.
Very good. Describe the work environment in which you will feel most effectively be able to contribute to.
Oh, I'd like to see an environment where you have a variety of not just customers but employees of all ages and backgrounds. Uh, I tend to make friends real easily, and the more people, the better I'd be suited to helping out, problem solve, or seeing what we could do to grow.
Okay, well, let me take a little step further. Would you prefer like an empowering situation where you're, more on your own, or you kind of like being micromanaged, this step by step, or do you like having the empowerment?
I tend to sit back and just enjoy life. I like letting people make their own decisions a lot of times. Sometimes that they learn from those decisions. There are situations where you need to jump in as a manager and kind of stop the flow of whatever negative is happening. But there's also a lot of situations where I feel like micromanaging prevents people from feeling the best about themselves, and I like enabling others, allowing them to grow, and I like myself as a mentor. in in the business environment.
Very good. We kind of feel the same way. I think empowering people is a great tool for managers and leaders.
It is.
Alrighty. What kind of oversight and interaction? Well, I guess this is kind of along the same lines. What kind of oversight and interaction would your ideal boss provide?
Well, business is about money, but it's not just about money. You have to be able to relate to your boss. You have to be able to relate to understanding what their goals and motivations are. I mean, it's one thing to charge $5 for a cup of coffee. It's another thing to charge $4 for a cup of coffee, and the difference in pricing strategy, for example, may affect not just the employee base, but the customer base as well. And to have a boss where I can come to and say, hey, here's an idea that will take it seriously and listen to me, and they don't have to agree with everything I suggest, but I would tend to stay away from a boss that's like, don't you have something to do?
Right. Well, here at the art gallery, man, we want everybody to feel comfortable, be able to express their ideas and opinions. That upward and downward communication is huge, and we generally care about our employees, and we want people to grow and to succeed. So that's good. All right, tell me about a time when you had to overcome a major obstacle that stood in the way of you accomplishing a goal or commitment. How did you approach the situation?
Years ago, I was working at a pizza place, and we had a daytime crew and an evening crew, and there seemed to be a camaraderie with the evening crew, and there's a camaraderie with the daytime crew, but the day and night did not see each other. It was like day and night.
Yeah.
And I was put in a position where I needed the daytime crew to be able to get the stuff done that we needed so far as all the prep work. And I needed the nighttime crew to be able to understand that the daytime crew was not just there as their personal servants, but they also had pizzas to make and deliver, and they had a smaller staff. And so it was really working with the manager of the daytime crew, and it was an effort to get her on board. But finally, I was able to get her to understand that as a manager of the night shift, I wasn't working against her. I needed her and relied upon what they did. And so I think what she understood was that the importance of having everything prepped, because when you get slammed with a 60 pie hour, that's where you're putting a pie in the oven every minute. Yeah. It's hard to do so if all of a sudden somebody has to go and, run to the store and get pepperonis because we're out of product because nobody checked the inventory earlier that day or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Very good. When you have entered a new workplace in the past, describe how you have gone about meeting, developing relationships with new coworkers, supervisors, etc.
It's always one of the most exciting points of my life. To me, it's like being at the carnival when they start powering up the equipment and the rides and the music gradually comes up. You see this opportunity to meet all these people, and I take a visual snapshot of the environment as I perceive it, because I know, give it 3 months, 6 months later, I'm hardly going to remember what it was like when it was new. But basically, I just sit back and I tend to observe. I do what my job is, but I tend to observe and not get involved. And gradually, as I get an opportunity to understand people, because not everybody likes you coming up in their face going, "Hi, I'm Carl. I'm new, and I'm going to, whatever." It's just a very laid back approach to just kind of getting to know people.
Okay, very good. Tell me about your greatest achievement at work.
I was working for a company, you'll see there in the resume, under Mallow Brothers, and they had been working on providing pagers to a large segment of the population. Mm-hmm. And they were wanting to start getting involved in the cell phone industry. It was brand new at the time, and they had tried the Southwestern Bell Company here in Oklahoma City for what they said forever, but really for a matter of probably months, maybe weeks. And I said, let me tackle it. So they put me in charge of the acquisition to see what I could do. And it took me a few meetings, but I got hold of the people at Southwestern Bell, and I showed them our numbers in terms of the client base that we had for the pager companies that we represented. and that they were quite shocked. We actually had a client base that was probably 10 times what they had in their pager sales, and so they immediately gave us a blank contract. We could sell as many of their phones. There was no requirement on our end to do anything, and I'm very proud of that achievement.
Yeah, that's quite the achievement. All right, last question, and probably the most important, kind of a little two-parter. First, describe your perfect coffee, and then what is your favorite art piece or style?
You know, my perfect coffee happens to be a canned drink that Starbucks used to sell. It was called Italian Roast. It was iced, and it was in a tall, skinny can. And that was, I tried replicating that at the house, and that was just phenomenal. It was so good. And they stopped making it, which is another reason why I'm inspired to get involved with the coffee shop.
Yeah.
So far as work of art, I've always been inspired by Edgar Degas. And, you know, I don't have a favorite piece. All of his work is just so beyond my ability. I joke and I tell people that, that I'm an impressionist, and I take my guidance from watching, you know, from looking at their works. But I'll joke and I'll say that the Impressionists are basically a group of guys that wanted to be painters that couldn't paint. So they started painting impressions of what they saw instead of the actual what they saw.
Very good. All right, well, Mr. Hardy, that's all I got. Excellent job. We will touch base with you here shortly. I like what I heard, and it was a pleasure to meet you. Let me go over some things with the rest of the staff, and we should be getting contacted with you here shortly.
Do you have any idea when that would be, so I can kind of shoot you a follow-up, just see how things are going?
Within the next week or two.
All right. Well, I thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez. It's a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Have a good one, Mr. Hardy.
All right. Bye-bye.